Hey everybody, Steve Dotto here. How the heck are you doing this fine day? And welcome to our show. Welcome to we had a few issues. I had a few issues getting ready for this week's show, in the fact that I put in the schedule completely wrong for everybody. And so we had a last minute substitution. Fortunately for us, Live Streaming Pros is not just David Foster, but it's David and Luria. And Luria is going to be joining us today, filling in for David because I messed up on the scheduling. I think, don't tell anybody, but I think we come out ahead on the bargain. I'm just saying this right now. I don't want that. Don't share it, but that's kind of my opinion. So we're going to be talking about live streaming and diving into the entire world of live streaming, which is of course exploding as the lockdown continues, and we have to find new ways of communicating, getting our message out, engaging with the community. So I'm looking forward to having this chat with Luria Petrucci today. Now, a few housekeeping things before we dive into the interview and before we dive into the chat. First, if you are viewing us on YouTube or Facebook Live, we appreciate it. Those are great places to engage. But the conversation is happening at the vid.io page, at the video. At the page at vid.io. In video, my brain is all scrambly. Invideo.io/you and me. Here's the reason: is when we have live streams going out to all sorts of different places, the chat ends up all over the place, and people can't see the comments coming from other platforms. You can only see the comments from the people on your platform. But if we bring everybody together on invideo.io/you and me, if you go there and you view this live stream there, you can engage in the chat with everybody there. So we're trying to move the community over there. Not that Facebook Live and YouTube Live aren't great places to watch, but just invideo.io/you and me is a better place to watch. So let's do this. Let's dive in and let's get Luria queued up and ready to go, as we are going to be chatting about live streaming today on Just Between You and Me. Just like that, Luria said, "How are you doing, Luria? How the heck are you?"
I'm fantastic. It's so good to see you, Steve.
Have you ever seen a better intro than that?
That was freaking awesome.
I was on point. That's because I was flying without the script at that particular point. It is so good. I'm just looking at you and I'm just saying, holy cow, when are you going to get to the hair colorist?
I know.
I don't need to point it out. I know.
Look at this. It's like just completely disaster zone. But aren't we all a disaster zone when it comes to our hair these days?
There is nothing that bothers me more about being shut down than my hair. It is absolutely driving me bonkers, and it's the most ridiculous thing to be worried about. But I think this is cool. I think your look is perfect because it's kind of like the rings on a tree. We can tell how long we've been locked down by the length.
Absolutely. Well, soon I'm going to be like unicorned out. As soon as I can get to a hairdresser, I'll be unicorned out instead of this chlorine green.
Okay. It kind of looks blonde on my monitor.
Oh, does it?
But it is good to have you, and thank you so much for filling in. Let me just tell everybody who you are and what you are all about. Luria is one of the leading experts in the world when it comes to creating professional gold standard live streams. Along with her partner Dave Foster, they have created Live Streaming Pros, which teaches so many people, so many of the pros, so many of our peers: Amy Porterfield, Mike Hyatt, Pat Flynn, Renee Levesque, Don Miller, Mari Smith, Marie Forleo. They've built out their live streaming studios and they consult to them. So they are definitely the people who know live streaming like nobody knows live streaming. So I'm so looking forward to this. I'm kind of anxious because we have you on, and then you're looking at everything we do, and you're going, really?
Steve, fix it. No, no. I love your video. You always do such a fantastic job with everything. So there's nothing to critique. Now, come on.
Okay. Well, there's always room for improvement.
There's always room for improvement. You're absolutely right. I'm trying to improve our stuff daily.
So I mean, if we don't like to, like to celebrate the what's going on in the world today, but for so many businesses, for people like you, people like us, the lockdown has created nothing but opportunity, nothing but need. Have you guys been just going crazy with how busy you've been since for the last 2 months?
Yeah, the last 2 months have been insane around here. And one of the things so insane. We brought on two new team members because of the growth that we've seen, but that really speaks to the fact that people are so aware that they need to be doing live video right now. And one of the main messages that we've been sharing and harping on and encouraging people to accept is this is not a bad thing for you as a business, as an entrepreneur, whatever you're dealing with. If you have a physical space and you're needing to transition, if you have been doing some kind of content online but now you need to step up your game, this is all opportunity for you to not only survive this time but to thrive now but also in the future, right? Like, this is the opportunity
Yeah.
to set up yourself for a future that looks bigger and better than it did 2 months ago. And that is so, so freaking cool to me. I am thrilled about the potential for all of these businesses.
Because pre-COVID, every single marketing report of the future of technology and the future of online marketing, the future of communication, the future of community building was all live video, live video, live video. Well, it's like we've been now. It's okay. It's now being forced. Do you feel like some of your customers are now coming to you, kind of almost kicking and screaming, going, "I don't want to do this. I really don't want to, but I recognize now that I have to."
I maybe it's my perception in life, but I don't feel that they're kicking and screaming. I feel like because we're starting with that message of opportunity with our conversations to people, they're excited and they're motivated. And that's really cool to watch. Now, what I do see is that there are a lot of people who never intended to do live video or even video, and now they are being forced into it. And while their attitude is spectacular and they're just like, all right, let's do this, let's make it happen, what do I need to do is the question that they're asking. But I have noticed that a lot of people, since they didn't have any prior experience, knowledge, or even thought in their brain about doing it, they're starting out at a more basic level, so that they're like, okay, I really don't know anything about this. Whereas before, people had, kind of had a higher level of knowledge about this stuff. And so that's been interesting for us to make sure that we're training, and we've completely revamped some of the training that we're offering because we want to make sure that we meet people where they are.
Because back before the epidemic, people were being proactive in moving into video,
Exactly.
so they had that attitude. Now they're being reactive. So
Yeah.
so a lot of cases they're having to take their existing content, and there's probably insecurity saying, "I'm not sure this translates into live video."
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of questions about, like, what should I do? Should I do it recorded? Should I do it live? Should I, like, how do I engage with people? How do I take my yoga studio and do this live? What?
Yeah.
And so it is very overwhelming for people for sure.
Okay, so let's talk religion for a minute. Let's talk about religion, because as they come to you, one of the first questions that I would have is, where is the best platform for me to deliver? I mean, we've got Facebook Live, we've got YouTube Live, we've got Instagram, we've got LinkedIn. How do I decide? Do I lean into one of those platforms? Do I try and cover them all? What's my initial strategy of where am I going to start to broadcast?
The first thing I would ask is, do you have an existing audience? And where is that audience? And focus on that one platform. If you don't have any kind of existing audience, where is your audience potentially going to be, right? And some people easily say Facebook, some people easily say YouTube, and that kind of drills down to the content that you are thinking about providing. Now, I would say when you think about platforms, live is very different on the different platforms, and you have to be strategic about how you're using it so that you don't kind of miss the mark there.
Okay.
Um,
So can you share with us the biggest differences that one needs to recognize between, especially Facebook and YouTube and Instagram? Sorry, and LinkedIn. I guess those are the ones that people are thinking most about
yeah.
for business.
Well, YouTube is all search, right? So with Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, you can just you don't have to like do search or keyword research or anything like that. So you have a little bit more flexibility of just doing the thing that you want to do. But with YouTube streaming, you have to be very strategic there. Do the right keyword research. Make sure that you're putting your content in a structure and a manner that people are actually searching for. And so we have changed our entire philosophy with our different platforms.
So is there a difference then in value, whereas Facebook and say LinkedIn, the primary value is in the moment of live streaming, whereas in YouTube, there's more value in the long tail replay of that video?
Both on YouTube for sure. But yes, if you structure your YouTube streams for that replay or for that long-term searchable content, then you'll see bigger and better results on YouTube. And then Facebook, people aren't searching there, and so they just kind of happen by content. And so you can definitely tap into the live here and now type of philosophy. Now, saying that, I don't want you to think like YouTube isn't good for streaming, because we've focused heavily over the last several months on YouTube and saw just an impressive growth rate there, just by focusing in there. And so
Yeah.
like the majority of our audience show up live on YouTube versus Facebook now. And so like you
You're getting
definitely
that
tap
too.
into promotion. Yeah, for sure.
We've started doing a live stream as well. I've started with doing one with my Gray Matters group, and I've noticed about a 3-to-1 ratio.
Okay.
Even though the channel that I'm streaming to on Facebook is as big or bigger than the audience that I have for that channel on YouTube, my viewership and engagement on YouTube is 3x the
Yeah.
Facebook.
I'd say 3 to 5 for us. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fast. So, okay. So let's get into the weeds for a minute. I think what we should do is take a quick step back to talk about the fact that on each of these platforms, you can stream from an existing tool. Like we're streaming right now into multiple platforms using
Yes.
StreamYard, which is a great way to do things. But one of the things that I've always wondered about, since we're talking about YouTube, is when you leave a replay of a YouTube video up, and if you don't touch it, YouTube plays it back almost as though it's a live replay, including all of the chat, which I find so much extra social proof in and so much extra value in. You can change the title, you can change the description, but if you edit the video in any way, and you can trim the video down and you can modify it if you add graphics to it, if you change that in any way, you lose that entire piece of social proof. They don't include the chat anymore.
Right.
Do you touch your videos? Like, I won't touch the videos because I want that chat to be there.
I am less concerned about the chat. And I have different strategies for different types of videos. So I play. So we're live 5 days a week. Okay. So between 5 days a week, we have different types of streams that we do on YouTube. And then often, like if we're doing a live Q&A, that doesn't have much replay value. So we just unlist it. We just remove that. If I'm, yeah. And if I'm doing a strategy based or a training and I'm thinking about it for the replay, yes, I absolutely trim that down. I cut it down to like a 10, 15, 20-minute video so that it's not an hour and a half long. And I remove all the Q&A, I remove the countdown timer, I remove all the things that don't speak to the gut of why somebody has searched for the video and then wants to watch exactly that.
Yeah.
So that works well for us. And so just based on the strategy I'm doing that day depends on or speaks to what we will do with that video.
Do you on your YouTube channel also pre-record and upload
Yes.
packaged videos? So
Absolutely.
you do both.
Yeah, we do
Yeah.
both. And
So
those, and I will say that the recorded videos do tend to perform better
yeah,
than the replay on, but there are some exceptions depending on how well I've done at the keyword research.
yeah.
So like, yeah, I think both is very, very important.
So actually that's a really, I mean, this is really inside baseball type stuff of understanding that. I mean, one of the keys that I think people need to recognize that you just said is you actually take valuable assets, which are Q&A videos, which at the moment that they were published on YouTube had real value to your community, and you unlist them because they will in the long tail be detrimental to your channel.
Right.
And recognizing what type of video YouTube wants people to find in the future as opposed to what they want in the moment. And that's quite a sophisticated, I mean, that took us all a long time to figure out, and most YouTube creators still haven't figured that out.
Yeah, and it's always an adjustment, right? We're always
Yeah.
adjusting things. And so the philosophy is, since we're live 5 days a week, and normally we're live 2 days a week, but then during all of this crazy time, we decided to just show up big time for our people. And so that's served us really well. But 5 days a week and one YouTube recorded video, I mean, like, think about the search, right? So somebody's coming in for what internet speed do I need to stream? They search that, they find our video on that, which was a recorded video. Then they want to check out more of us, and then they're like, okay, well now I'm going from like an 8 minute video, now I've got to watch an hour and a half long video. No, thank you. I'm out of here. And so when you think about like, suggested videos and the watch time that YouTube wants from you, you need to keep moving them along to another video. So that's why I do that.
Can I ask you one question on that? Did you ever think about time stamping the entire video so people could jump quickly to the point that they were looking at?
Okay, so I just discovered that this is a possibility. I didn't claim to be a YouTube expert, just YouTube Live.
That's why we call this Just Between You and Me. This is a conversation. All of these things are voyages of discovery. So I think that for you guys, just I'm putting on my consultant hat, that would be amazing, because that search term that you were just talking about, people are going to search for. So so if you've answered it in the Q&A, timestamps. And here's one other tip for you. Sorry, I'm going to put I should be able to flip the video sides so that I can be the consultant now. When you as soon as the video is posted and it goes live on YouTube, go in and comment yourself into your comments with the timestamps, and then pin that comment to the top, because people in mobile won't see the description, but they'll see the pinned comments. They have to scroll so far to find the description. So then if it's a pinned comment, you say, here are the timestamps, thanks for watching. And then the timestamps are there that they can quickly jump to. That's the best way to do it.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I like that.
You'll have to let us know how it goes.
We just talked about that this week in our team conversations, and so we're gonna figure out how to implement that, do that, and I'll take your advice.
This is what I like so much about this business is we're all racing ahead, trying to figure things out and MacGyvering our own systems for building out, and there's just a billion ways to do things. Now, because David was originally programmed to be on the show, I know a lot of people are going to be listening, expecting us to geek out in hardware. So can we spend some time talking hardware, Luria? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
I know you're just as good, but David's, I think it's the white glasses. Well, I got to share this. I got to share our original banner, because I want to show that really in life, I'm just a David Foster wannabe.
with a bigger beard.
But I've got a bigger beard, and but his glasses are so cool. It's so nice. But anyways, I'm
feeling a little man crush going on here. I totally get it. I get it.
But I think, as I say, I think we win by having you on today. So let's talk about basic minimum systems, because people are obviously coming in, they are dipping their toe in the water, but I think that they can do themselves more harm than good if they start live streaming and they suck at it. So let's talk about the minimum system requirements. What's a basic live streaming system got to contain?
Well, you need to be thinking about like our kits actually go deep into the actual specs and stuff. And David, if you want to throw those in, oh no, he's not here. Never mind, because he was busy. But yeah, so our kits actually go into the actual specs and stuff. But here's what you want to think about in terms of your computer. First and foremost, live streaming is the heaviest task that you can even ask a computer to do, right? It's harder on your computer than even video editing. So you need to be thinking about that and not trying to do all of the fanciest stuff from a 2012 MacBook Air. Like MacBook Air's first and foremost not going to work. But like so Macs you're looking at like a 15-inch and up computer, and those tend to be the ones that have the good enough specs. But you need CPU power. So CPU power is a must. The
And a lot of people think
graphics,
because it's video, the graphics card is the most important part, but it's not really.
I mean, it is important. It is,
But CPU
but
is
it's
more
not.
because
I
it's
would say CPU is more. Yeah,
got to compress that video. Okay.
yeah.
So you've got to throw enough horsepower at it to begin with. So within 3 or 4 year old computer is gonna provide the horsepower that you basically need.
It'll do a job. It'll do the job, but you may not be able to do all of the things that you want to.
Okay.
So the more power you have, the more updated the computer, whether we're talking Mac or PC, then you're going to be better off and you can do more in your production. So when we're talking PCs, what you want to look at is a gaming computer, essentially, because gaming, it takes a lot of the same processes from your computer. So you want to look at for a gaming computer. And like I said, our kits and our gear guides and all of that, like kind of go through everything that we suggest. But that would be, something to think about on the PC side.
Baseline hardware. And what about cameras, mics, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so cameras, we love Sony's. So the Sony A series, I'm using the Sony A50-100 right now. And then if you can afford it, the Sony A60-100 would be the way to go. 16 millimeter f1.4 lens would be appropriate for most people. It's a wider lens, and so you can put that close to you on your desk, and then you can get blurry background and all of that stuff if you have some space behind you.
So you're considering at a starting level using a DSLR level camera as opposed to a webcam.
Well, here's the deal. So webcams you can't even get right now.
Yeah, true. That is so true.
I've kind of started there for these days. But webcams, yeah. So here's what I want you to think about when it comes to like the webcam versus the well, it's a mirrorless, but DSLR mirrorless camera. A webcam is going to run you $100-ish bucks. A DSLR or the Sony A60-100 with a lens is going to run you about $800 to $1,000. So that's a big budget difference, right?
Yep.
So if you just need higher quality, you don't have the budget right now, and it's going to be a while before you're going to even be able to upgrade to that better camera, then definitely go for the webcam. But if it's going to be like, okay, I need to go now and I'm going to do a webcam and then 2 months later, I'm going to do the mirrorless camera, this A60-100. Why spend that extra $100? Wait, just use what you got, which is probably your onboard camera. It's not going to look great, but I would rather you spend your budget wisely as opposed to wasting $100 and then a couple months, like 1-2 months later, you're upgrading.
I've got a, so I actually use a webcam still. I've got a the Logitech Brio. Yeah, but I've got excellent light. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Great lighting.
I was like, wow.
That makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right? So, but I do want to use my I've got this, in my case, I've got a Canon M50. My concern about setting it up, and one of the reasons I haven't set it up, and they will interface fairly easily. There's a lot of different ways to get the video feed into your live stream. But my concern is having persistent power to it, because it'll power down after a period of time. A lot of these cameras will shut off in the middle of a live stream, like they've got a limit. How do you avoid that? How do you make sure you have persistent power to it? Because, swapping out batteries. I just going to go, oh, that stops me.
It's simple. It's called a dummy battery.
Are you calling me a dummy?
I would never even imagine doing that, Steve. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
sure. It's a dummy battery, dummy.
So we actually just released a video on this on our YouTube channel because this is like one of the most commonly asked questions. So basically a dummy battery, it looks like a battery, but it has a cord coming out of it. So it goes into your camera just like a regular battery would, but you're plugging the other end into power. So that will run continuous power through your stream. Now, when you're choosing a camera, you do have to look for, you have to make sure that it'll have clean HDMI and that it won't auto shut off after 30 minutes or 20, I think it's 20 or 30 minutes. And there are certain cameras that have those and you cannot get rid of. So clean HDMI is basically meaning that when you plug in your camera through HDMI, it just displays the camera signal, not all of the stuff and the settings.
All of the menu
on
settings
screen.
and all of the date and the record button.
Yeah, you don't want that going out on your stream, right? So you need to make sure that the camera you're choosing, that's why we choose Sony's, because Sony works out of the gate. Canon's, a lot of cameras from the Canon lines are not that ideal. We used to recommend the M50, but then when we discovered how good the Sony's are, we were just like, nope, killing the M50 from our recommended list.
Am I screwed with my M50?
No, you can use that. Is you just have to like do a little hack through SparkoCam.
Okay.
So we have a video on that, Steve. Why haven't you watched our entire YouTube channel yet?
You haven't watched mine on timestamps, so I think that. They're whoosh, right back at you.
Right back.
But okay, so that's great advice. But then at that point there, when you've got a DSLR, you have a lot more flexibility as far as lighting or a mirrorless camera, but also things like your depth of field. It looks that much more professional.
Exactly. Yeah, you can just do a lot. You can get higher quality out of a mirrorless or DSLR camera. So that's, the quicker you can get there, the better. However, always remember this one thing. People need connection, not perfection. So while you're wanting to look as good as you see other people looking, you don't let that stop you. You don't let that hold you back from taking action. If you have to go live from the onboard camera and the mic, do it. Just take that action or jump on your phone. These are great devices. Then actually look and sound better.
When you plug in with a tethered headset, it's really good quality.
You're good to go. I actually go live without even extra gear most of the time from my phone, to be honest. Just the quality is good enough. And if you're in a noisy environment, that's an entirely different story.
With environmental consideration. So I love the conversation about the camera. Let's talk about my favorite topic, which is the audio, because I am firmly of the belief that if we spend energy on anything, it's got to be audio, because people will watch poor quality video that has good audio. They will not suffer bad audio. Our ears it irritates the crap out of us, doesn't it?
Oh, totally. Yeah. People will avoid watching you in the future. So if you screw up the audio, that is the thing that people will be like, never watching you again.
Yeah.
You just hurt my ears.
So my first inclination as I set up a live streaming setup is, because I'm a podcaster as well, is I use my podcasting setup. So I go through a mixer. I've got my, high quality mic, but I've seen a lot of setups. So that's how I get my audio, and I repurpose what's set up for really podcasting into video.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of your setups. You use the audio input in the camera as opposed to a USB. Am I mistaken, or maybe it's just a single setup that I saw you do? Okay. So you do the same way?
Setup, but no, that's not typically how we would route audio.
Okay.
So either using, an XLR going into a mixer that is a USB mixer, or I'm just using a USB mic. You really don't have to go fancy with the audio. Do you think it sounds okay?
I think you sound. What are you using?
The Samsung G-Track Pro.
Okay, where is it? How far away is it from you?
It's right here. Just under. Actually, you can see it. Just a little bit. Yeah.
Let me take my video out so we can.
There you go. It's right here. That's the top of it. Usually
I
it's
can
not
see
on
it.
screen,
It's
but
yeah, I can see it. It's right. Yeah, but it's kind of in the shadow. Yeah, and I mean, mine is always. A lot of people try and get the mic out of the shot. I don't think
yeah.
that's a big deal. I think people realize that there's a mic.
Yeah,
That's the mic.
totally. I don't personally love to keep my mic in the shot, but it does. I mean, I never have a problem with it when other people have it in there. Like the closer your audio is or your mic is to your mouth, the better your audio will be. But people try and we deal with this all the time. Half the questions we answer are from people trying to go overboard with the audio setup, when in fact, all you need to do is use USB mic and you're good to go. Like any of the Blue products, Yetis, the Yeti Nano, the Samson G Truck Pro. The reason we don't recommend the Samson to most people is just because it has a lot of buttons and that overwhelms people who don't have any tech experience. But to be honest, I've never messed with any of the buttons. I just plugged it in. It's good to go. So,
So you're paying attention to the pattern and where it is and how close it is to your mouth.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So and so the mics are just such a big deal. What about lighting?
Lighting is definitely very important. A lot of people like the look of natural lighting. However, natural lighting will cause you frustration over time. So let's say it's a rainy day or the sun is changing, the position throughout the year. All of these things will cause you to have a different look and feel every time you go down to record or go live. And that will stop you. That will cause you to make excuses. It'll be like, oh, I have to fix the lighting. I have to figure out why it's so bright or so dark. And then you're just like, never mind, I'll do this tomorrow. And so we want to remove all potential excuses. And so by not using lateral light, you're going to want to buy a light in order to have that consistent look and feel. So ring lights are totally fine for most people.
Yeah.
And ring lights are basically, it looks like a ring with a hole through it that the camera is built to go through the hole in the middle of the ring light. And the ring light is good because it kind of gives you a whole kind of lighting scenario. And it just kind of
washes you.
fleshes out.
It's a wash.
Yeah,
It's not television lighting with a key focus with a key light and a backlight and
exactly.
I always like do little things like I turn on a light on the wall back
Uh-huh.
there.
Yep.
That creates a little bit of a distance, just little things
Exactly.
like that.
Light in the
So
background can really like you want to be separated from
you
your
want to pop out from the
background.
background.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So those ring lights are so popular. They're a couple of $100 for a decent one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you actually do take advantage of the mounting right in the center for your camera, and then and then you've got really consistent, even light, so you're going to look good no matter what.
Now, I will say this, if you wear glasses like you do, Steve, you definitely want to be looking at like repositioning that light. So instead of straight on, like mine is, you have to lift it up and kind of point it down a
Yeah.
little bit. So maybe your camera is not going through the middle of the light at that point, unless your entire setup is kind of up and over.
Dealing with glare is a big issue, and it's one that I've dealt with all through my whole career. Because when I was on TV, we had to fight with the glare on the
Oh,
glasses all
yeah.
the time. So a couple of other tips as far as that is actually the glasses you buy will make a big difference. Don't buy
Hmm.
tinted glasses because the tint will show. I've got and buy smaller. Like these are my normal everyday glasses, which will have a lot more glare,
Hmm.
but they because there's a much bigger surface area. These are task glasses that I had built specifically to be on video, smaller.
Nice.
They're also super high index, which means that they're as thin as possible. And they have an anti-reflective coating as well. So
Yeah.
they're more expensive, but they're also focused. They're also single reflex. So they're single focus. So they're designed to just be, they kind of almost magnify the distance of the computer. So they
Yeah.
cause a little bit of rest. I know people tend to want to have the blue light filter ones to make it easier on your eyes, but they're not good for video, right?
No.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, I do a lot of stuff with that. My glasses need cleaning out. So, but the glasses make a big difference.
They do. Yeah.
Okay, so that brings us to one of the things that is starting to drive me a little bit crazy. Although you guys have a great giveaway attached to it, which we're going to share now. That's the background story. How did backgrounds become so freaking important in everybody's obsession? We've got
Oh my God.
you guys have released a whole background series, which we will share in the chat. We'll get them to share so that of backgrounds for like Zoom calls or for things. talk to me about the background phenomenon and where do you sit on it?
Yeah, so I think the background of your video is one of the most important things about your video. And that like we people think about that and the more, we saw people worrying about it and struggling, that's why we created that PDF that has like 10 ideas for your background to set up, and like you can our students like give you tips and all of that cool stuff. But like the background itself creates visually the environment that you want your audience to be in. And so that's why it's so important. Green screen, out of there. Don't use green screen because it's so easy to look amateur through green screen if you don't know what you're doing. But you can easily, simply and cheaply set up a background that adds a what I call a uniquely you personality, environment, so that people know immediately who you are as a person or something about you. Or like my bourbon journey, one of my favorite sets in the world, is one of our students, and he has shelves and shelves and shelves of bourbon because he talks about bourbon. And so like it sets the tone, it sets the environment. It really speaks to your channel, you as a person, and it gives people something to talk about. David's set is all like Marvel characters, Star Wars, like all of this
Yep.
stuff, right? And that creates engagement because people will pop on his stream and be like, "Oh wait, hold on, you like Star Wars? I like Star Wars. We're best friends already," right?
Yeah, yeah. And little Easter eggs. I mean, when I
Yeah.
built this, when we moved into this house and I was able to set up this, I had a very small space, so I had very little to work with.
Yeah.
But since I used to use green screen all the time, and it was properly lit, so it worked well. But since I've been here, the engagement and the I kind of the community building aspect of a little peek at Steve's life and who he is. The fact that I leave the dog, that Farley's
Yeah.
often in doing something incredibly disgusting while we're in the middle of a live stream. I mean,
Yes,
he's
totally.
often gone deep. Um, yeah, but that creates that level of engagement as well. People always will pick out little Easter eggs, little things
Yeah.
that are on your set that they go, wait a minute, and
Hmm.
it creates relationships.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's worth taking the time to do. Don't have a ratty old basement that shows how messy your life is behind the scenes.
Oh my God. I have seen people go live from or just do videos on YouTube, like in their bedroom, and their dirty laundry is back there. Like it's a complete mess. And I think that, we as human beings, we value somebody and we pay more attention to somebody is, who cares enough to do something about that mess, right? And it's like
it sends nonverbal cues, doesn't it?
it definitely does. Like I'm not going to be interested in taking marketing advice from somebody who has like just the messiest things going on in the background. But alternatively, we will also want so many people want to be professional and have their professional setup that they're afraid to do things like see your dog in the background or have the kids walk in. Those things are just the best things to happen on a stream because it's easy engagement. Like
It shows
we
that
all
you're
want
real,
engagement. It
and
shows you you're real.
people don't. One thing that and this speaks to the issue of people who are also insecure about being online. They have the same insecurity. They don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to have a bobble. They don't want to do any of those sorts of
Right.
things. And what I always teach is as much as possible is our audience are empathetic, not judgmental,
Yeah.
and that the only time that they're going to feel bad is when we feel bad. So if one of us
Exactly.
screws up here right now, I mean, I think we've definitely made mistakes. And if it doesn't bother us, it doesn't bother the audience. But
Yeah.
if it obviously impacts the person that's on the air and they're embarrassed, we get empathetic, and we get uncomfortable as a result.
Yeah, exactly. You'll appreciate this, Steve. So the moment that I realized I could do anything on live and still create a fun environment for my audience, I was doing Panasonic at CES. First year doing hosting for Panasonic. I did that like 4 years in a row. And because CES is like the biggest, largest tech conference, and so there's a lot of tech in that conference center in Vegas. And so immediately we went live, and then I have my director in my ear. I'm listening for direction. I'm like reading the prompter. I'm doing an interview, and I'm trying to read chat on my iPad. All of a sudden, the IFB, the device that the director is trying to talk to me, goes. I'm like, okay, and keep smiling and keep talking and keep reading the chat and keep reading the prompter, and like I had to ignore it. And I've got these like buzz going on. It's just high pitched screech going on for like 2 hours.
Are you
And
serious?
while they fixed it. Like they had to, like there was some signal interference.
That had to cause some long-term damage, girl.
Probably. But they didn't want me taking it out because they thought they would have it fixed like that, but they didn't. And so it's just these things happen. But at that point, I was like, okay, I know that I can deal with anything that happens on live stream and not freak out about it, And I tell that story because I want you to know that it's really like what you're saying is all about how you react to whatever happens. And that is what will make you a professional streamer versus, things are always going to go wrong. Always.
The as far as I'm concerned, the sins for live streaming are when you go live and you're not prepared, or when you go live and you don't have a message, when you just are saying, oh, I'm bored, I haven't been live for a while, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say, and you hear a live streamer saying, so what should we talk about today? What a load of crap. That's I don't care how good your set is, you're a jackass. But if you're prepared and you have a message that you want to get out and stuff starts to go wrong, and even if you have a brain fart and you forget what it was you were going to talk about, it's to me the most important word in live video is intent. Mm-hmm. You come to watch it with intent and you deliver it with intent, where you're going to deliver some value. If you follow that mantra, I think that you're serving your community and your brand well.
Absolutely. Now, keep in mind, value comes in many different forms, right? So value doesn't just mean educational value, which is what most of us tend to think about it in. Value also is entertainment. Mm-hmm. It's also community relationship building. It's also inspiration, right? There's many different forms of comfort, many different forms of value. So like you're saying, be intentional about what it is that is the purpose of that stream. And like I mentioned earlier, we have different strategies for different days of our streams. Our Friday show is all community focused. Like it's a live Q&A, and it's for YouTube, like YouTube member chat, and we are like all just focused on them, right? So the value comes in two different forms: education, because we're answering questions about live streaming, and then also that connection that we're building and talking to them, getting to know them, and goofing off with them. So it's a fun, valuable stream, right?
Yeah, I think that's on having that mix and having that intention. Yeah. Perfect. There's one other thing that I think we sometimes tend to miss. And a lot of people think that live streaming is very much like it is a broadcast medium, but that when we used to do television and we would broadcast, it was a very sterile, huge environment.
Yeah.
When we do live streaming, people are watching us, holding us in the palm of their hand. There's an intimacy to this format that I'm not sure everybody recognizes when they go to create it. So even though you're broadcasting to hundreds or thousands or dozens of people, the numbers really don't matter. For each person watching it, it's a far more intimate experience than is watching television or watching or listening to radio, for example, because of the fact you're holding half the time they're watching us on the toilet, right? I mean, how much more intimate can we get, right?
Guilty as charged.
Hopefully you're not live streaming from that environment.
No, I do not have a potty under me right now. No.
But that's also something that I'm gonna I know you have to leave early, so I'm gonna just, kind
Oh,
of compress things and
I'm
tighten things
sorry.
up
I
a
have
little.
another interview.
Oh, that's because you rode into the rescue. But I don't want to leave this background thing yet because
Yeah.
it's becoming a burr in my saddle. It's just starting to drive me nuts.
Are you getting old and cranky?
I'm getting old and cranky with the virtual freaking backgrounds. And I hate it when I'm in a meeting with somebody and they've got the Starship Enterprise in the background and their lighting is terrible and they have a complicated background in the back. Their computer can't resolve it and their video is moving in and out and it's waving
Yeah.
across and it's just like, ah, I hate this. Turn off your freaking video instead. Do you agree with me that we should just turn off the damn video if you can't do it right?
No, I don't actually.
Well, that's where I'm coming down right now, lady. That's it.
Okay.
I think I just recently had a really bad experience. But that's where a
Oops.
green screen, if you are going to do that, putting in a green screen and spending a little bit of time lighting it and putting in a proper virtual background, I really wish they would do that.
Yeah. Like there's this mix of wanting it to be perfect and just going with what you got and what you can do, right?
Yeah.
And I would probably have 2 years said the same thing, Steve, but I've watched our students very closely over the past, 4 years that we've been training on live video. And the one thing that happens is that if they feel like they can't do it right, they won't do it at all. And that just kills me because half the battle of live streaming is learning and
Okay.
you have to do in order to learn, right? So if it's not perfect, it's not perfect. If it's wrong, quote unquote, then fine because they'll do it. They'll learn how to be on camera. They'll learn how to then they'll watch it back or somebody will say something in the chat and they'll be like, "Oh, maybe I should fix that," or whatever. And it's all a learning process. And so the worst thing that you can do is wait until it's all perfect and then go live because you don't know anything about live at that point. You
Okay.
don't know how to talk to the camera. You don't know how to engage with the audience. You don't feel comfortable on camera, but you're trying to match the professionalism of your background and all of the camera set, like all of the physical or the video quality. It looks spectacular at that point, but you are losing your personality because you're trying to match that and you haven't gone live yet and discovered how to be authentic on camera. So I would absolutely disagree if you can't
Okay.
tell.
That's fair. And you know what? I might be convoluting what's happening in online meetings with live streaming because sometimes it kind of comes together in my mind a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so if you are live streaming and you're setting up, I'm on board with it. You don't have to think that we're on completely different pages. But hey,
Right. Okay.
we don't have too many questions, but we do have one that I like. Could we share our setup? So I'll share what I'm broadcasting now, and you can share what you've got. So
Sure.
my setup is a Logitech Brio webcam. I've got big ass lights or big ass windows right in front of me for the natural light. But when that's not available, I also have two LED panels that turn on that mimic the positioning of my windows, so that I could have a consistency. So I could the nights like sorry. It could be dark out or rainy out, and they're tuned to sunlight, the temperature of sunlight.
Yeah.
So I have a consistency
Nice.
in my setup.
Okay.
Kind of
I love it.
sophisticated. I've just bought the Rodecaster Pro audio interface
Yeah.
for my audio, and my mic. I am an audio guy because I come from radio, and my mic is the Electro Voice RE20, which is a broadcast mic from the radio studio days. Just because I'm old school radio dude, and this makes me feel like I'm still old school radio dude. And so that's my setup. And running a Mac Mini with 16 gig of RAM.
Nice.
It's a new Mac Mini, and I love it since I've set up that Mac Mini. So that's my setup. What's yours?
Okay. Well, you can actually, I have my entire setup at livestreamingpros.com/GLN if you want to go check that out. So it's go live now, it's GLN. So I am using a Sony a5100 camera with a 56 millimeter f1.4 lens. I don't recommend that lens for everybody. I have a prompter on my camera, and so it's like 6 feet away from me. So you have to, hey, it's practicing social distancing. Sorry, I cracked myself up. So the 16 millimeter lens is probably more appropriate for most people. Anyway, I'm using a ring light in front of the prompter. I also have two LED panels on both sides of me since my ring light is further away. I am using a Samsung G-Track Pro mic. It's just USB. I have the Stream Deck control switcher. And then I'm using a Mac with Ecamm Live.
Okay, so you are using the virtual camera setup to go through
I
to come
am.
to us right now. So what she's talking about there is a very cool setup, and you guys have some great tutorial videos on your
Yeah.
site for using Ecamm, which I love. So Ecamm is a live streaming product that you can use, but you can also, because you can, it's a switcher.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the television days, a switcher is simply something that selects different sources
Yeah.
and puts them into the broadcast. Ecamm does that for Luria, so she can actually switch. Yeah, you can
I can
actually
share my
switch your video feed.
screen.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's using the Stream Deck, which is a way cool box. I'm just starting to do a video on mine. Here it is right here, all
Oops.
ready to go. I've been using it.
Yeah.
Love it. So that allows you to have a
We
button to
just,
be able to switch your
hmm
sources.
Yeah. So we
And
can just do all the things.
yep. So that's a very cool setup. How much memory is on your computer? Do you know?
Off the top of my head, it's on the spot.
Yeah, okay. Is it a notebook or a
graphic.
desktop?
No, it's an iMac.
Oh, an iMac. Oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay. Oh, very nice. So that's what you have for your display too. So it's the all-in-one.
No, I'm not using that as my. It is the all-in-one, yes, but that's over here, my iMac.
Okay.
So all of it's controlled over here. I have a confidence monitor that is under my camera and prompter, so that's what I'm looking at right
Oh,
now.
okay.
But I can just see what's going on
Oh,
without looking down. And then I have my other monitor over here that has the shared screen. So if I'm gonna like share my screen, do a little demo, I have that over here. So three
so
different
cool.
monitors.
Isn't
You don't
that?
need that, but
Oh, no,
I
we do.
wanted that.
We do need that, Luria. I do. Listen, before we go, I want you to talk about. You guys have a workshop that teaches people this whole process. So talk me
Yeah.
through quickly where that is and what's involved in that.
Sure. It's a complete DIY workshop that takes you step by step through everything you need to know to get professional video. But we also added some quick start guide, training as well, just to get you going, get you up and running quickly, even with no gear. And then you can add the gear on top of all of that. And so we walk you through everything that we do in our custom studio builds for, you mentioned like Amy Porterfield and Michael Hyatt and Pat Flynn and all of these amazing people. The process that we go through for those custom studio builds that we charge upwards of $10,000, our fee alone for, now we actually put into a workshop so that you can do it all yourself and you don't have to pay us that fee. And it just guides you through everything, diagrams, kits, the whole ordeal. That's at livestreamingpros.com/studio.
Okay, so encourage people to sign up for that. I believe the content would be excellent. All right, we're going to wrap things up with this. And because this is not related to live streaming now, this is
God.
kind of something that I've added to this particular, to just between you and me, because you are an online marketer. We are all in marketing. So I'm going to ask you to do our lightning round with you. You know how a lot of podcasts, I know a lot of, I'm not going to ask you what your favorite movie is and all that kind of crap.
good.
I don't do that. But instead I just want to ask you one word, 2-word answers, initial reaction to the kind of buzzwords that are happening in our industry right now.
Okay.
Is that fair? It's
Do
more
it.
fun than you think. Mark Schaefer did it the first time last week, and he's a curmudgeon, and he didn't mind it. So you can handle this, okay?
I can do it. I can do it.
You can do it. Okay, so I'm going to start with influencer marketing.
It doesn't bother me.
Okay, paid traffic.
Doesn't bother me.
Okay.
Paid traffic. Wait, hold on. Paid traffic or paid traffic like as in ads to sell products or get you a freebie, or paid traffic like I'm buying views? I need
Second one.
clarification.
Let's do the second one because it'll create more.
Absolutely
more
not. No. Stop it.
Facebook avatars.
Mine doesn't look like me.
No, nobody's does. I don't know why people are sharing them. Stop sharing. Just stop the madness.
I did it anyway.
Digital health.
Very cool. I'm trying to keep it short. Sorry.
Okay, you don't have to. You can talk a little bit more about it.
I love the developments that are going on in digital health. Yeah.
and it's right in your sweet spot as far as delivery.
Yeah.
Privacy, online privacy.
Out the window.
Very good. Zoom.
Frustrating as hell right now. Wonderful and awful all at the same time for different reasons.
Trust.
Live video equals massive trust.
Good one. Nice spin. Bots.
Love, love, love them and highly encourage them.
Oh, really? Good. G5 or 5G. Sorry, 5G.
Oh, I can't believe we're even trying.
Really?
No,
Why?
stop it. Didn't expect this from Callie Lewis.
No, I didn't. I thought you'd be all over that. Final
No.
one?
Okay.
Go ahead. Expand.
No, I was just going to say, like, I mean, have you seen the studies that are talking about like how horrible it actually is for our health, but also the fact that it stops, it's such a short signal. It's like crazy that it's just crazy. It doesn't work well.
For sure. Yep. Final one, TikTok.
Everyone keeps telling me to do it and I don't have time to play with it, but I find it brilliant. The creativity that is on that platform is amazing.
Okay. Well, I'll let you off the hook. See, it wasn't as bad as you thought.
I did it. Phew. Can I get like a rating? Like, was it a 5 out of 5, 10, or
the one the new one that came up is this Facebook avatars. Yeah. Did you share yours?
Yeah, I did.
Why?
I asked for feedback on it because I was like,
because you feel bad.
It doesn't look like me.
I don't get why people are doing it. I won't. I'm not going to share.
Everybody put pressure on Steve to share his. Now I need to see it.
I have the world's strongest Bitmoji game. So okay. I'm all over that.
You do a good.
I do. You got some this morning as I was thinking. Yes. So, but I just say no. The madness will stop with Dotto. Luria, thank you so much. I know you have another call, so I'm going to let you go while I do the promo for next week. Thank you so much. For more information, Live Streaming Pros is the place to go. You guys should all be visiting. You should be subscribing. You should be signing up for all of their stuff. Tell David I'm so sorry that he wasn't able to be on, but tell him that you just kicked ass and he never could have done as good a job as you did.
I will totally tell him that. Thank you so much for having me.
You have a great time. Bye now. That's Luria Petrucci. She's, as you can tell, smart as a whip and funny, and I just enjoy all the time that I get to spend with her. Coming up next week, you're going to want to spend time with us next week again, because we've got somebody else who is just flat out brilliant. Kim Garst is going to be joining us. Kim is one of the people who, when I started in this business, really taught me a lot and got me off on the right foot as far as building my own social presence. And she has reinvented herself multiple times along her journey in social. It is going to be a fascinating conversation that you will want to put in your calendar. So join us next week for Kim Garst. Here on Just Between You and Me with me, Steve Dotto. We're going to wrap things up. Thanks to our hosts, to the folks at InVideo. If you've not yet signed up for your free trial of InVideo, or if you've not tested out this product, all of the promos that we create for our channel, all of the promos that you've seen here are created using their video editing tool, and it is the one that we have come to rely on. Certainly at Dotto Tech, it's the one that we rely on, and everybody who I've introduced it to has thanked me profusely for introducing them to the company and to the product. So that's it. We're going to wrap things up. Till next time, I am Steve Dotto. Have fun storming a castle.